Welcome back, everyone, to the Too Many Hobbies podcast. I am your host, Brian Ellithorpe. Today we have a pretty awesome episode for you guys, one that I've been pretty excited to record since I started the podcast. We're going to be talking about weightlifting today, and specifically powerlifting, so stay tuned, and we're going to get into the episode. Alright, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that intro music. Let's get into today's episode. So I wanted to take an episode to explain kind of where I started in weightlifting and how it has transpired into competitive powerlifting and what I've done along the way. This will be a little bit longer episode than the previous ones just because this is probably the one hobby that I have that I've been doing for... That's been close to 16 years now. Yeah, 16, 17 years. And it's become something that I've pretty much made part of my lifestyle at this point. One of those things that you get home from work and it kind of feels weird when you don't work out. So I guess we can start from the first time that I worked out. I got talked into doing a football workout with a couple buddies when I was in junior high, or was it middle school? The end of middle school, so I was in 6th grade, and my buddy that I knew, his dad was the high school football coach, and so he had been working out with his uncle and wanted a few people to come work out with him, so he wasn't the only 6th grader working out with a bunch of high school and some junior high kids. So I decided that I was going to join him, and I did my first workout, which was just a circuit training workout, but being somebody who had never worked out before in his life, especially weight training, it was pretty eye-opening for me, only because I specifically remember that day we had done just standing lunges, forward lunges, and the next day I woke up and I had to ask my mom what was wrong with me. My hamstrings were so sore. I'd never felt anything like that before in my life. It was the weirdest experience ever, and now looking back on it, it's obviously just soreness, but from never being sore like that in your life to waking up the next day and thinking that something's wrong with your legs because you can't walk was such a weird experience for me, and for some reason I kept going back after that. But as I learned, once you start doing it more often, then you don't have that soreness, or it's not as bad. It's not as bad as that first time that you ever get sore to that degree. And we were doing like tricep press downs, stuff like that. Curls, very basic things just to kind of work ourselves into it. And then further down the line, we started doing conditioning drills with the football team, and so I decided that my 7th grade year I would play football because I was already doing workouts with the football team. But since I was 8, I think, I was playing golf, and after I got done playing football, I would, for 8th grade, I wrestled instead of doing football, and then I did golf when I got into high school. This whole time I was still working out with the football team and the same people that I had been working out with before, but now I was playing golf and working out with the football team, and they always had asked me to play football. I ended up getting pretty strong in high school, and it didn't make sense for me playing golf to be as strong as I was, but golf was just way less impact and way more fun. We just got to go play golf every day. It was great. And so I kept denying the football coach that wanted me to play, I think as like a defensive end or something like that. And it would have been fun, but playing golf was much more fun. So I kind of had this reputation of being a golfer that also worked out with the football team, which you don't really hear all that often. And I think at the end of my high school career, I'd benched 315, and I think I had like a 400-pound squat, maybe like a 365 deadlift, I think was the most that I had done. And it never really occurred to me going into college that there was anything that you could do weightlifting-wise as a like recreationally. And so when I ended up getting to college and I was working out at the rec center, I ended up meeting one of my very close friends now, but his name was Dwayne, and he got me into powerlifting. So I started training with him, doing powerlifting workouts with him, and then ended up doing my first powerlifting meet my freshman year of college, and after that I was just hooked. There's really nothing like getting under a 500-pound bar and squatting, or 350 bench. It's pretty awesome. And for me, I'm fairly lean. I compete at 220. I sit around 225 most of the year, and I don't use anything performance enhancing wise. So as a natural athlete, it's pretty hard to get your weights to like an extreme level, but I've always been pretty happy with the weights that I have been able to lift. But aside from that, I had competed, all the competitions that I've done have been raw competition, so no single ply or multi-ply gear, and they call it the pure category. So if you've never used steroids, that's the category that I was entering in, and I've done fairly well in those competitions. I have one state record for squat, and I used to have a push-pull state record, but I'm sure that that's gotten beaten by now. And the squat one that I have is for 565, which for me is extremely good just because my legs are really long. Squat's not really my best lift, and my back always gets tweaked like every year. It seems like I have one bad day and it messes up my back for like a month. And I've gone to the doctor. They say it's just some nerve, but I think it's something further than that. Regardless, it's pretty annoying. So as of lately, I've just kind of been backing off. But so back to the competitions. I did my first one when I was a freshman, and I used to do them in the NASA Federation, and that wasn't a bad federation to train or to compete in. It's fairly close. It was only like a 2-hour drive to get to the competitions, and those were the ones that my buddy Dwayne was doing, and one of my training partners now, Tyler, he was in that too, and that comes into play further down the line. But those were nice, easy competitions to go to, and they were fairly competitive, but everybody was super supportive. So it was a nice balance of people that were there. I ended up meeting one of the judges who ran a powerlifting gym it was in Springfield, Ohio, and it was called the Underground Barbell Club was what I would compete, or the team I guess I would compete with when I would go down to these competitions. And it was pretty cool to meet some different people and kind of feel like you were part of something in powerlifting. And that was the first experience that I had with that. And that was fun, and it was a cool networking aspect of the sport. What was nice about it is that when I would go down, I at least had somebody as a contact within the federation that I knew. So it was easy to, ask questions and things like that and figure out, where the competitions were going to be held, stuff like that. So that was super nice. But once I got away from competing in NASA, was about the time that I started training at a new gym, which is the gym that I'm at now, called the Animal House in Toledo, Ohio. And it's just a small little, used to be an office building that we rent from a roofing company, and we've kind of gotten full reign from the roofing company to pretty much do whatever we want with that building. It's pretty run down, so it wouldn't be much of a good place to lease for offices anyway. So we've taken down the walls, and it's not big. It's probably 500 square feet, if even that. It might be closer to 400, but it's a small area that we have a ton of very nice equipment in, and it's a really cool place to train. The people that we train with are just so strong. My buddy Tyler that I had mentioned before, which I'm sure will be on the show at some point. I mean, he can squat 1,100 pounds, benches low 800, and he's done 900 with a slingshot, or it's the Titan Ram, and deadlifts in the low 8s as well. And he's sponsored by Anderson Powerlifting, which is really cool that we have that connection to them as well. But everybody in the gym is just super supportive and such awesome people to be around. And it's like, it just gives you that gritty feeling, like gritty old school gym feeling, which I really like. And as of late, I haven't been able to make it in that much, but for the last 2 or 3 competitions that I did was training there, and that was the strongest that I've ever been. And being around people like that just gets you so motivated to train harder, to do competitions. It's like a real team family vibe, and there's not a lot of places that you can get that camaraderie, just because normally you're at a bigger gym and it just seems like, I mean, we have 2 or 3 squat racks. We have 1 monolift, 2 Texas Powerhouse racks that they use for competition with the bench that you can put in and out. We've got 1 power rack, deadlift platform, couple benches. It's not a lot of equipment as far as like a gym goes, but for a powerlifting gym we have a ton of equipment, and there's so many different things that you can use to better yourself and to make yourself stronger. It's top notch as far as I'm concerned, and we have people that come and train from around the country, people that have moved away or people that have heard of the gym that are buddies of people that are members there, and everybody's always impressed by it. The atmosphere is just something that you're not going to get at a commercial gym. This is a very, like I said, gritty, old school feel, and it's an awesome place to train. I did a lot of different rotations, I guess, there, where I would train for a while, then kind of back off, or I'd get hurt and I'd have to rehab myself. And it's always so easy to transition yourself there, because if you don't feel that you're up for it, either somebody can push you to get you to that point, or you can just back off and everybody understands. They've all been there. You show up and you're just not in the mindset to go heavy or do whatever, but there's so many other options that you have there that you could just do a low impact workout and it's not gonna ruin your training at all. So since the COVID has hit, I haven't been going to that gym as much. I'm gonna get back there as everything kind of lightens up, and normally in the winter time, during hunting season, I back off a little bit on heavy lifting, just because getting up during hunting season and not, super early and not sleeping in for months on end kind of takes a toll on you. It seems that's where I end up getting hurt, is I just, I don't stay tight when I'm doing squats and deadlift and end up messing up my back. So I try to stay healthy during hunting season just so I don't hinder myself doing that. And I still work out and I still do fairly heavy workouts, but not to the extent where like I feel like I'm gonna pass out or I'm gonna throw up or something. Like, I keep it pretty tamed during that time, and then once the beginning of the year comes around, I normally jump back into a 12 or 16 week cycle workout, where then I was doing a lot of competitions in like April and May for a while, and so that was a perfect time where I could start cutting at like the beginning of February, be right in my weight class that I need to be in, be used to my body weight as far as my workouts go. If you drop weight too drastically, then you kind of throw off your center of balance while you're doing any of your big lifts, and it's hard to kind of bounce back from that right away and get used to it. So if you ease into it, then that helps with a lot of your issues in your training as far as your balance goes. So I've made that mistake before. I've dropped a lot of weight like over the summer and then done like a fall meet, and it just hasn't ended well for me. So I've kind of cut back on doing fall time meets and doing more spring events, and that's been super nice. I haven't done a meet in a year and a half, so hopefully this year I get back into it. Might just do a push-pull just to, get the joints loosened up, and get myself back on track for something competitive like that. I think the last meet that we held, I didn't compete. I just did photos and video and did like a nice like highlight video for us to put on Facebook and Instagram and stuff to kind of promote the meets that we were going to be doing. And that was, honestly, for me, that was just as fun, being there with all the guys and just recording everything, taking photos, and that was just as fun for me. So I'm sure at some point I was going to do it for our national meet that we were going to host for USPF Powerlifting. I'm part of the media team, and we'll be posting a lot of the stuff for, as far as video and photos go. I'll be helping them with that, so that should be fun. And I started their YouTube channel, so if anybody that's listening to this is interested in USPF, that's a good place that you can go. There's only a couple videos up there right now, and they're ones that I've done, so hopefully we have some more coming for that. But I also hope that with Anderson Powerlifting, I can get some videos and photos for them as well, specifically at the Arnold this year. I was supposed to do the Arnold for Anderson Powerlifting this past year, but it got canceled due to the COVID, so hopefully we can get back on that, and this next year we can collaborate and make some pretty awesome videos and take some sweet photos. So I keep getting off track with this, so I need to try and get my my footing here. But yeah, so since the COVID started and I hadn't been training at the animal house, I decided to build a gym in my basement, which has been so convenient, not going to a commercial gym. Like if I'm not going to train heavy, I was going to a Snap Fitness, and that was fine, but I kind of always felt that rush, like if I left work and I wanted to go work out right after work, that it had to be cut short so I could come home and let my dogs out. And being able to come home and just work out in my basement right after work and let the dogs out and not worry about rushing home or anything like that. I can just play music down there and just go. And even if I don't want to work out right after work, I can work out at any time. It doesn't matter what time of the day it is. I can go right before I eat dinner. I can go down right after I eat dinner. I can go down later at night if I really feel like it. But for the most part, I think I end up working out about like 6:30 after I've like done some stuff outside, hung out with the dogs. I pretty much feed the dogs, start working out, then make dinner. But that doesn't really matter for this. Like it doesn't really matter what I do. But in the basement, I have set up from my previous job, my coworker that was there with me, we had set up a gym in our warehouse, and I pretty much took all of the equipment from that he didn't want and brought it here. So I ended up starting with just a treadmill down there with some like really old steel plates, like the 1-inch bar and plates. So basically I just use it as a curl bar, nothing too crazy. And then I bought like a rubber or a foam floor for the basement, so it's like the 3/4 inch tiles that I found on Amazon. It was 122 square feet for like $70, Amazon warehouse, and I snatched that up real quick and put that down there. And it's been really nice because even when the basement does get water in it, they're closed cell foam tiles, so they don't absorb water, and I just run a couple fans down there or whatever. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but it definitely works for what I need it to down there. And I have a Titan power rack down there with a Rogue 45-pound bar. I've got a standard bar with 300-pound Olympic set. It's nothing great, but it gets the job done. And then I bought an extra set of 45s. I have a couple sets of like training plates, like 35s, 25s, and 10s. And I have 2 sets of power blocks, some regular cast iron dumbbells, and then I have a Bowflex. Well, it's like the Marcy version, but I just call it the Bowflex. 2 treadmills, bunch of resistance bands, the resistance bands with the handles, hanging leg raise straps that go on the power rack. I mean, like, I can do anything down there that I want to. Like, I can deadlift down there. I can do any of like the band exercises that I would usually do on cables at a commercial gym. And it's such an awesome setup. We've called it the Mallard Club Fitness, and that's been pretty funny. Based on where I live, it's pretty funny. We've made T-shirts, and just as a joke, I've just pretty much started calling it Mallard Club Fitness. And I know one of these days somebody's gonna try to like come pay for a day pass or something, and yeah, I'll get a good laugh out of that. But it's such an awesome space down there, especially with it being in the basement. It stays so cold down there, and it stays like pretty decently warm when it's really cold out. It pretty much just stays about like 70 degrees all the time, and it's perfect, especially in like this summer when it would be 100-degree days. It'd be like 75 degrees down there, so I'd still go down there and like sweat terribly, but it wouldn't be that like overbearing heat that you would go to. Like if I went to the animal house and it was 100 degrees in there, with everybody being as fat as they are in there, it would be like 120 degrees. And there's a little window air conditioner installed in there. It doesn't do a whole lot when you've got that many big people in there training that hard. And I mean, even there was a day I went in that it was like 80 degrees, and I went in there, I thought I was gonna die, and all I did was bench and do like some chest accessories, and it was like so hot in there. And I'm just used to being in my basement where it's like a decent temperature all the time, and even if I put a fan on, it's like, alright, well, it's not that bad. But going anywhere else, it seems like it's just unbearable. Plus I can wait like later in the day and it'll kind of cool off. I can go down there and do whatever I want. It's been nice just being able to train when I want, and like especially not having to drive somewhere. Like everywhere that I would have to go, if I went to Snap Fitness, it was like 15 minutes to get there. Going to the animal house, 20 minutes. And if I don't have to drive anywhere, it's always nice. I drive far enough to work as it is, so it's nice when I can go somewhere and work out and it's in my basement and it's super close and I don't have to drive. Like, I just don't want to drive. And being like the convenience of being here, and I can just let dogs out and they'll come down in the basement with me, which is always fun. But it's like the perfect balance of being able to work out at home and do most of my workouts during the week in the basement. And if I really want to go heavier, I want to work on something, I can go to the animal house 1 or 2 days during the week, see those guys, mess around. And yeah, it's a pretty nice setup as far as weightlifting and working out goes. Like I can also like run here, and I can run in the marsh behind my house, which is always a nice way to break it up. Like when you're looking for ducks, you don't really realize that you've ran 2 miles into the marsh. And if I wanted to take the dogs back there, I can. Like, I just have so many opportunities, and it makes life a little bit easier. And as far as like the idea of this podcast, like having as many hobbies as I do and being like wanting to be able to do like fit them into my lifestyle, having a home gym for me is perfect because I don't sacrifice my workouts. It's super convenient. Like, it just, if I can fit it in where I need to and still be able to do it, because I really enjoy working out, and I enjoy like that serotonin release that you get when you're working out, same way that like runners do. That's what I get from weight training, and I don't have to sacrifice that. And at this point, I save money that I can put back into the basement. Like if I want to add a leg press, well, I'm not paying $50 a month for both me and my wife to go to a commercial gym. And like, as long as you get yourself in the mindset of like, I have to go in the basement and I have to knock out this workout, you can do it in a shorter amount of time. Nobody's watching you, which I don't really care, but I also don't have to wait for people on machines. They're my machines. I can go down there and I can just plow through a super intense workout for 30 minutes. And it's the same thing that I would normally get, if I had to wait for people and the commute. driving there and driving back, it's an hour and 15 minutes normally for me if I was doing that commercially. But when I'm at home, it's a half hour. It's really easy to fit in. And I know that further down the line, when, like, if I have kids, and most people have to cut that out of their life, like, oh, I don't have time to work out. If I want to, I can get up before work and work out. Even at work, we have a gym that's closed right now for the coronavirus stuff, but, like, I can do that during lunch if I want. And I don't have to sacrifice my workouts, which is, like, I think for me, it just feels weird if I don't work out. Like, when I know I should be working out and I'm like, I'm too lazy, not going to do it. It's pretty easy to get yourself out of that mindset when all you have to do is walk down a flight of stairs and work out. And I know that by the time that, like, I get to the point where I normally wouldn't be able to do my workouts and stuff if I had to go to a gym, now I'm saving that money and I can build a deadlift platform in the basement. I can buy that leg press. I can expand it in my basement because I have the room. And if I decide that I want to add on to the house or build a new house where I'm at, I can take that gear with me and I can kind of design the space that I want to put it in around all of the gear that I already have. Like, that's a really nice feeling, knowing that I have the investment in all of this gear. And if I spend the $500 or whatever that I would normally be spending on a commercial gym membership, and I put that into the basement, I'll have some pretty nice equipment down there. And it'll kind of give me that push, like, oh, I just bought this really cool thing. Like, maybe it's a GHR, like something that I like to use, and then I can buy more weights and stuff, and then it'll be similar to my experiences at the animal house if I have enough weight and all that stuff, but I can do it from home and I'm not sacrificing anything. So, well, with that being said, I should probably wrap this up. We're over a half hour, so I hope that you guys enjoyed this episode. It's a little bit longer than the ones that I had done previously, but I had to kind of combine a whole timeline of when I started working out and what it's kind of transpired into in the last, 15, 16 years? Yeah, something like that. And, yeah, this was a fun one to do. It's pretty easy to just ramble on about weightlifting. And hopefully I can get a couple of my buddies and some other people from companies that we work with or that we are, buddies with, I guess. And see if we can get somebody to come on, talk about their business or anything weightlifting related. Maybe they've got some cool stories about other hobbies that they have. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Make sure that you give me a review on, if you're on Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or Spotify. Well, I've been trying to put this out as many places as possible to get some traction. So follow me on Brian Althorpe Media, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and I am still working on the social media for the podcast. I'm waiting until I get a new thumbnail made, something that I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do, as well as somebody else. So to Fiverr we went, getting a new thumbnail, and once I get that, then I'll kind of use that to make these, probably Instagram, Facebook group, and eventually I'll have a YouTube channel where I post the episodes. And I'm sure at some point I'll start recording these, but the space that I'm recording these in right now is definitely not video ready. So appreciate you guys tuning in. We will catch you on the next episode. Thank you.